Hello all, this is Shaunatha Collier, the 2025 Chair of the Diplomate Development Committee, and I am going to do this video to kind of walk everybody through the ABFO Bitemark repository and how you potentially access a case from that repository to receive credit you can use for your application to take the ABFO board exam. So first thing is that this Bitemark repository was put together by the ABFO. It is maintained by the ABFO, and cases within that repository will count towards your Bitemark requirements for that application to take the ABFO board exam. However, there are some stipulations to be able to access a repository case, and those stipulations are that you have to have completed either the ABFO Bitemark workshop or 2 Bitemark cases, and those cases can either be historical cases or current cases. So let's kind of jump into what we mean by those historical or current cases. These are cases that you either have obtained through one of the following methods, either a fellowship or formalized training program, or perhaps a mini residency in Bitemark analysis and comparison. Those are kind of the 2 ways that I am aware of that you can get a historical case. There may be some ABFO diplomates that are mentoring people that have cases they can give to you to work up, and they will be the ones that kind of review those cases. But for the most part, those historical cases are going to come through some sort of, again, formalized training program or formalized continuing education process in Bitemark analysis and comparison. Current cases are cases that are basically obtained from kind of your own jurisdictions. Either it's a case that law enforcement has requested assistance with, or perhaps there's an injury on a medical examiner's case that they think might be a Bitemark. Anything along those lines that is considered a current case that is being looked at from within your own jurisdictions. So again, let's say you've gotten, you're able to meet those kind of requirements. You either have done the ABFO workshop and successfully passed that, or you have those 2 cases you can submit for review to the committee. So you're at that point, you want to know, okay, how do I need to apply for doing a repository case? You're going to contact the ABFO Bitemark Committee chairperson and submit that proof of satisfying the requirements that I talked about previously. The email address and person who is the chairperson of that committee can be found on the ABFO website. You'll go find the committee listing, see who is the committee chair, and then you can go into the diplomate information and find their email that's on record. So you'll send that over to them. What do you have to submit for proof? If you have completed the ABFO Bitemark workshop, you need to attach your completion letter that shows you successfully completed it and were awarded the case credit from that workshop. If you are submitting cases to qualify for a repository case, you need to submit a digital copy of both cases and the information requested for those cases. They are requesting that you submit these digitally, so either through a Dropbox link if you use Dropbox, or a zipped folder with all that information. The information they're going to want to see from your historical Bitemark cases is a signed Bitemark report for each case, as well as the evidence collected that you used for the analysis and comparison in that case. So that's going to be your pattern injury images that you used, as well as scanned images of the suspect casts. They may also request something along the lines of like your Photoshop file where you actually have the suspect cast on the pattern injury image that you use for comparison. That's not specifically requested in the DRM outline of this process, but that is something that you might be prepared to submit if they ask for additional information. But you for sure need to give them your signed Bitemark report, and that is signed by whoever supervised you for that case. be it, again, an ABFO diplomate, be it a jurisdictional person, again, just whoever signed off on that Bitemark report. And then again, your images and your suspect casts that you used for each case. Once you've submitted that to the ABFO Bitemark committee chair, there's going to be a review committee that reviews your submissions. And if they deem that you are eligible to do a repository case, you're going to be sent a letter that outlines kind of your next steps, as well as kind of goes over what the process is and the timeline for your case submission. If you are not eligible after the committee has reviewed your submissions, you're going to be informed in writing why you're not eligible, what the case deficiencies were, so that basically you can maybe come back and try again once you kind of rectify those deficiencies. So again, if you are eligible to do a repository case, they're going to send you a letter. You have to sign that letter. It goes over, again, kind of the timeline, the process, and just some basic housekeeping type of things. And so they're going to need that letter back signed before they will proceed. And this is just a note that all case materials that you will get as part of this process for a repository case are property of the ABFO, and you are not allowed to share those materials. That will also be part of that letter you have to sign and agree to. So once they get your signed letter back, they will request that you pay the case fee. The case fee for doing a repository case is $100. They will outline the process of how you submit that fee, where you need to go, what you need to do to make sure that gets paid. And then once that fee is paid, the repository case will be sent over to you with all of the appropriate information. Once you receive the case, you will have 60 days to basically do your workup and prepare your report. Once you are finished, you're going to submit all of your case materials to the committee through whatever process they've outlined in that letter that you received at the start of this. You need to be prepared to send back all of the materials that you were given, as well as your own work product. So that includes, again, your images you selected for your analysis, any images you used for comparison, your suspect cast that you used for comparison, and most importantly, a case report that is going to follow the ABFO standards and guidelines. Your submission is going to be reviewed again by a committee that looks things over and makes sure you have done everything appropriately, you followed the proper protocols, your report follows the standards and guidelines, you're using correct terminology, all of the things that you need to be doing at the level the ABFO is going to require if you're going to take on Bitemark cases. Once they've reviewed your submission, you're going to be notified again in writing whether or not you receive case credit for that repository case. If you don't receive case credit, it's my understanding they will kind of outline potentially next steps for you and what you need to do from there. This is just kind of some additional information that is outlined again in the ABFO Diplomate Reference Manual, or the DRM, concerning these Bitemark case repositories. You will only be able to get one case at a time. You can't be working two cases simultaneously. That's just too confusing both for them and for you. So again, one case at a time. The case is not considered complete until the letter of credit has been sent to you. So even if you've submitted your information, that case is not considered complete until you receive the letter stating either you did or you did not get case credit for that case. With these repository cases, you can only receive a maximum of 2 case credits from a Bitemark repository. So you need 4 total Bitemark cases to be able to apply for the board examination. The maximum of those cases you can receive from the repository is 2. So just a heads up on that. That pretty much kind of outlines the process for how to get access to the Bitemark repository to be able to use one of those cases for your requirements. If you have any questions about this process or what you need to do, please feel free to reach out to me at my email there on the screen. Most of you have that email hopefully at this point, but if not, there it is. And I will be happy to either answer your questions, or if I can't answer them, I will get you in contact with someone who can. So again, hopefully that kind of clears up the process for accessing the ABFO Bitemark case repository.